everyone, I'm Kimberly Guilfoyle along with Juan Williams, Jesse Waters, Dana Perino, and Greg Gutfeld. It's 5 o'clock in New York City, and this is The Five. Immigration negotiations sidetracked by a storm over comments by President Trump yesterday that he now claims weren't accurately reported. The president says the language used by me at the DACA meeting was tough, but this was not the language used. What was really tough was the outlandish proposal made a big setback for DACA. Never said anything derogatory about Haitians other than Haiti is obviously a very poor and troubled country. Never said take them out, made up by Dems. I have a wonderful relationship with Haitians, probably should record future meetings. Unfortunately, no trust. Mr. Trump didn't respond to questions today about the incident after a ceremony at the White House. Here's how some of the president's frequent critics reacted to the reports.
The President of the United States is racist.
We now know that we have in the White House someone who could lead the Ku Klux Klan in the United States of America, somebody who could be the leader of the neo-Nazi and publish just his words.
This is someone who's chosen a path that is absolutely racism with steroids.
Perhaps the White House feels the president's remarks will be well received in some parts of this country, among some parts of the president's base. And perhaps that is true. But it doesn't make what he said any less ignorant or any less racist.
Our president is a clear and present danger to non-white people in America. It's that simple.
On the election, no.
All right, so obviously some widespread criticism and, of course, people on the left, Jesse, that have disfavor with the president, find that he is racist, then bring his base in to say that the base is also racist and that he shouldn't be in the White House, not fit to govern.
Yeah, I mean, the left has seized on this, but Trump gave him the weapon. He shouldn't have said it. It wasn't a classy thing to say. It was crude. It was rude. I wouldn't say it, but Trump's offensive. And we've known Trump says offensive things for a very long time. So it shouldn't come as any surprise.
He's also issued a denial of it.
And it's no one knows exactly what was said except him and the people in the room. But putting that aside, the point he was making is that these countries that he was talking about, I don't believe are S-hole countries. They're impoverished, they're riddled with corruption, and they have a lot of problems. With that said, he was saying he believes in merit-based immigration. That was, I think, what he was trying to get at, because people in the room were saying, let's do a deal where we bring in these people from third world countries, and the president has made it very clear. He wants to bring in people that are based on merit, whether it's a high education, whether it's English speaking. Those are the things that he wants to focus on. And in immigration policy, he's trying to put forth that's the priority for him. What got lost in his gaffe, I would say, was that people now aren't talking about that. And the deal is really hanging in the balance. And he had a lot of momentum going into this. The tax thing was doing great. He had its great meeting, and he was going to bring together a lot of people on an immigration overhaul. And now all that's been lost. So he needs to do a lot to regain the momentum. I dislike the people on the left who, and I know people, and you know people, that have, been at cocktail parties. They call the Bronx an S-hole. They call Middle America an S-hole. These people that are in their studios and they're putting people down that live in different parts of the country. They call the South Hicks. They call Christians bad things. People that say bad things. What did Obama say about bitter clingers? Hillary called half the country deplorable people. So the reaction in the media when they say Trump says this about another country, there have been Democrats that said horrible things about people in our own country and have not gotten criticized nearly as much as the president. So there's a little hypocrisy there. But again, with that said, obviously the president said the wrong thing here and has to do a lot better moving forward when it comes to blunt talk.
Okay. All right. So, Dana, how do you see this in terms of, the communications being handled by the White House in response to this?
Well, if they wanted to deny it, last night would have been the night to deny it. Apparently, there were reports that there were calls being made to check in with people that they'd like to talk to, and everybody was giving him the thumbs up. And then this morning, that changed, and he said, that's actually not what I said. So we're actually doing two things now. We're having people who are defending the comments, but even if he didn't say the comments are okay, meaning that's some of the defenders are saying that. So agreeing with what Jesse said in that it's not exactly surprising that you would have profanity in the White House. This has happened in every White House. Remember in 2000 when I think it was President Bush, at the time a candidate, said that one of the New York Times reporters was a major league a-hole.
Really, Dan?
And Cheney said, big time. Okay, then you have Joe Biden in the White House saying, when he's about to sign Obamacare, Mr. President, this is a big effing deal. Like, profanity is not the issue. The sentiment is. But I would say that aside from all of that, and I don't need to go into how I feel about it, the question is, what do you want to accomplish and what do you need to do and who do you need to help you do it? And Senator Dick Durbin is one of those people. And what happened is this makes it so much harder for Dick Durbin to convince his Democrats to go along with him to try to get these deals done. And this is not just about the DACA deal. It's about the spending and the CHIP money, the Children's Health Insurance Program, because now there are Democrats on that side that are going to dig in and they're going to say, I'm not going to want to be a part of this. You have to push back harder on President Trump. But the sad thing is, on Tuesday, they had a really good meeting. And by Friday now, I think they're farther apart than they were earlier in the week. And they've got 7 days until the next government shutdown.
Okay, so Greg, it wasn't fortuitous timing, to say the least. So as Dana points out, it's put Durbin and others in a bit of a position. The president is denying that he said this, but the timing of it perhaps should have come quickly on the heels yesterday. Where does it go from here, and what do you make of it?
Well, Durbin is a bozo. Let's be frank on this one. I mean, this is a guy who said chain migration is a racist term because of the word chain. So let's not forget that. Yeah. The big issue, the thing that really bugs me, it's not fair that all the other networks get to say the word and we can't.
That's your takeaway.
It's like when when you were a kid and one of your friend's parents lets him go see R-rated movies, but your parents won't. That's Fox News. They won't let us say the word. Actually, they haven't told us.
Fox News is the parent.
If Fox News is, they're saying, you know what I mean? They're saying, it's like, yeah, you should be saying that. I asked if we could say the word, and they said we couldn't.
They shut you down.
They shut me down.
Good to have that big talk here.
But there is also a sense here. Like I don't appreciate the language either. And in fact, actually, when you hear it, you go, I hope he means the countries and not the people.
Well, don't you think that's what it means?
No, I'm hoping, and I think I'm hoping.
But the countries
yes, I'm hoping. But that has to be asked. If he means the people, he needs to clarify. Did he mean the countries or the? I'm hoping he meant the country, and he can prove that by just saying merit-based immigration can take people from those S-hole countries. I can think that you have to separate these two issues. I can believe that these countries are really bad, but people that come there can be really good. Yep. That's all he has to do, I think. Now, like I say, I find the word terrible and all that stuff, but I'm not going to be self-righteous about it, because when I watch the media do it, I just can't handle how self-righteous and sanctimonious they are. I mean, these are people that if they went to a gym and there wasn't the right smoothie bar in there, they would call that an S-hole, especially if they were living in New York City. If Equinox, if the gym didn't have a personalized TV in front of their stair climber, that's an S-hole. I mean, everybody uses that word. Now, you're right about the sentiment. That's why I think that you have to divide it. But the point is, and then I'll shut up, it's always going to be about rhetoric versus action. And right now, nothing Donald Trump has done in terms of action has been the problem. In fact, the country's doing really well. We've got high optimism in small business. We've got a crazy stock market. People are getting bonuses. You're seeing Iran, maybe there might be a secular revolution. You're seeing North Korea, things happening. But the issue among the media is always going to be this coarse rhetoric, which we all, I think, admit has always been the problem. So Donald Trump makes Donald Trump a heavy lift for everybody, because it's like a 4-hour drive to Disneyland right when it's closing. You only get an hour of rides. And that's what Trump is. He's a 4-hour ride to Disneyland when it's about to close. As long as the economy does well and his actions are good, people will accept this heavy lift. But if the economy goes down and there's an ugly war or something bad happens, then it's going to be an issue. But I think people already know what they got.
I know, but
they know what they got.
People getting caught up on the semantics, like semantic gymnastics, saying I disapprove of the language. It's colorful, et cetera. As Dana said, this is nothing new that we've seen in White House, administration, Congress, whatever, every place, workplace. However, Greg brings up one good point finally, thank God, which was you look at the list, of accomplishments. So we're super focused here on the language, but what about the accomplishments? Shouldn't the Democrats be fair and focus on that as well?
I think anybody can be fair, but this is not about being fair. The man told a lie this morning that compounded his racial comments yesterday. His own White House didn't deny it. And now he comes out at the last moment after, I guess he's watching Fox and Friends, and sees that even people who are stalwart supporters are saying, hey, this was really unforgivable. We shouldn't have done this. It's wrong. And then he says, oh, well, I didn't quite say it that way, and that language wasn't quite the same. I'm amazed at how many Republicans are put into the difficult position of having to defend President Trump over and over again. I mean, and distracting from the agenda, but maybe it's an intentional distraction, maybe it's I don't know. But in this case, he has offended people so deeply, and yet Republicans are like, well, Paul Ryan today, well, it was wrong, that shouldn't have done, but he won't say, you know what? This is across the line. You can't say this about fellow people in this world, but certainly Americans. How many Haitian Americans, African Americans, El Salvadoran Americans are making a great contribution to this country, people who are hardworking. To Greg's point, this is not about the countries, Greg. It is about the people.
No, he has to clarify that. He hasn't clarified that.
Allow me to speak. The reason that I say it's about the people is because it was in the course of a discussion about the lottery. And, he wants the lottery done away with. He says, why do we need a lottery to get in here? He wants to cut legal immigration in half, but the lottery system he objects to on the basis that it should be about merit. It shouldn't be about a lottery.
Right.
The lottery was created, however, because there is a shortage of people coming from certain countries in the normal flow. So the idea was we're going to try to engineer it so as to repair that and create opportunities for people from all over the world as American immigrants.
Which can be done on merit.
He then comes back and says, oh, no, we don't want people from those countries. That's about people, Greg. And let's say that to imagine what you would say to the Irish coming from famine, the Jews coming from Germany, the Italians.
But they want to come here because their countries aren't doing well.
About people of color.
If he says
comparing them to Norwegians,
if he says that a meritocracy-based immigration allows people from those countries in, it's fine. But if he says it doesn't, then you're right. But we don't know that yet.
Well, it would be contrary to what we say on the Statue of Liberty. It doesn't say we'll take your brightest and richest. It says we'll take people.
So you're against the whole meritocracy thing?
No. Let's have a discussion.
We're trying.
What I'm saying is what he said yesterday was so deeply offensive and wrong. And I can't believe that Republicans and even Trump people should be up in arms. He somehow suggested, his people would agree to this? They're not all racist.
I think they understand that he is your rude, rich uncle.
Well, he's using, colorful language, but nevertheless, when you look at the merits of what he's talking about, it should be a merit-based system. There are serious, significant problems with chain migration. So language aside, those issues have to be dealt with in a responsible way. The privacy security debate front and center again on Capitol Hill as the Senate now takes on the new FISA bill next.
A bill to extend the NSA's authority to conduct foreign surveillance on U.S. soil passed easily in the House yesterday. Now the Senate is considering the measure. FISA supporters see the act as a vital tool to stop terrorism.
If we had it before 9/11, likely we would have detected what they were doing. We would have had the full authority to monitor, to track their phone calls and also to surveil their phone calls. In other words, listen to them. We've had it since. It makes all the sense in the world. It absolutely is critical if we're going to give our intelligence agencies, particularly the National Security Agency, the ability to monitor terrorist phone calls.
But privacy advocates like Rand Paul are concerned about Americans getting caught up in warrantless spying.
What we have is a program called the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, and you're supposed to be, or the grant of power is to spy on foreigners in foreign lands. I'm all for that. We need to protect our country. Millions of Americans are recorded in there. So if the president calls a European leader or the Russian leader, the Chinese leader, the president's phone call is recorded in this, believe it or not. So there are a lot of innocent people who are in here, and it should not be searched for American data without a warrant. All we're asking is go to a judge and have some evidence to get started. Warrants aren't that difficult to get.
The senators threatened to filibuster, but he can't. Mitch McConnell set up a parliamentary path to block him next week. So it looks like it's going to pass. Greg, is that good or bad?
Yeah, it's good. I think it's good. But, I love spying. You can't connect the dots without the dots. And if you don't think we need dots, then you're dotist. You probably hate people with freckles. Fact is, the least secure countries in the world are also the least free. And I know this is where I lose all my libertarian credentials. I don't care. I'll take the heat. But
heat.
I love heat. I love heat. But freedom and security are not polar. They're not these things in conflict. They're actually like spouses that enhance each other. And you cannot be the freest country, the most beloved country in the world, the country everybody wants to go to, without being the most secure. You have to have that. And there's a way to do that and still be even more free. The problem is we get stuck in this weird argument. It's an argument that existed before technology and terror, which is that security somehow, freedom, it impinges on freedom. It doesn't. It enhances it.
If this passes, Jesse, it's for a 6-year reauthorization, so we might not ever have to talk about it again unless we might still be on air.
Well, thank God. Some of us.
Wow.
The Bush administration
Betting on yourself again?
did a few things wrong, but one of the things they got right were these tools they put in place to track down terrorists. Enhanced interrogation, black sites were incredible tools that they put in place after 9/11. But I think the FISA courts and the warrantless surveillance was the best thing they did. It stopped over 50 to 60 plots. Some plots were targeting the New York City subway, the New York Stock Exchange. They identified the Mumbai bomber from this. Yep. They can track down cyber threats. So I think this is fine. Right now, I think we're surveilling 100,000 foreigners overseas. Sometimes those foreigners call here, and they may or may not talk to an American. Now, that automatically gets picked up. It doesn't get read, but it gets stored. And sometimes you need to look into the American phone call or email quickly. And the argument against Rand Paul is that you don't have time. If there's a ticking time bomb situation, or like Kimberly knows, if you're really trying to go after these people hardcore, you don't have time to go to a judge and get a warrant. Mm-hmm. And that's the argument. And you can always go backwards, but if you're going to lean forwards on the war on terror, this is incredibly crucial, and he's not going to be able to do the filibuster, so it doesn't even matter.
Yeah. Kimberly, there's been no successful challenge to this, I don't think, from a privacy perspective in the courts. Is that right?
Yes, because when you think about it, what's being weighed in the balance in terms of national security or dealing with terrorism or dealing with exigent circumstances where time is of the essence, quick response team has to be able to get that and narrow it down. And we saw things like this in terms of, remember San Bernardino and the terrorists there, and tried to be able to track them through their cell phones immediately, through direct messaging or other encryption. It's really a battle against these really well-defined and pretty sophisticated means of communication that we have now today with Telegraph and Signal and CyberDust and WhatsApp that have the end-to-end encryption, and then also trying to balance that with trying to work cooperatively with some of these phone providers and things of that nature. Like we saw Apple push back and try to protect their users and not let you have the information. But I understand from a prosecutor's perspective of wanting to get that. I don't think anybody's trying to go and try to abuse. And I mean, as weird as Greg is, do we really want to hear what he's doing with his phone? No.
You'd be lucky if you knew, Kimberly.
They do. Like, people who support this in intelligence and law enforcement, say that there are protections for Americans embedded in this, but it seems like it's never enough for the ones that have privacy concerns.
Well, the number one person is Donald Trump. Yesterday, he did a total flip-flop, right? Initially tweeting that he was opposed to the extension of this law, and apparently looking at his own circumstance and saying, oh, maybe some of the Trump campaign people got caught up when America was, guess what, tapping phones in Russia and heard some of his campaigning. So he said, oh, no, this is a terrible thing. And then he gets into whether it's unmasking that's involved because, as Jesse just explained to you, sometimes American agents have to look and see what was said, especially if they identify a potential threat.
If it's a number match.
Right. And then Donald Trump apparently was then pressured by Paul Ryan and others who said, hey, wait a second. Don't forget we're trying to protect the country. This is about something bigger than you. It's about the terrorist threat. And you see people from across the political spectrum saying this is important. But when you come back to it, it's what Donald Trump's initial objection was. I think Judge Napolitano on our own network has said this as much, that it opens the door to people getting caught up, American citizens, in this wider net. So you get people like Rand Paul, Mike Lee, Justin Amash, others. These are all saying, hey, wait a second, let's put in some of these protections. But right now, I think people are so worried that the protections could limit the capacity of our agents that they're not willing to do it. But to me, the story here at this point, there's such support for the bill, is Donald Trump.
Well, but it is going to pass, and he says he's going to sign it, so we might actually have bipartisanship.
Boo.
Next week. All right, one celebrity takes on another for an insensitive tweet following the California mudslides. Next.
You've seen the heartbreaking pictures of the California mudslides. It's devastating out west. At least 17 dead, people missing, hundreds of homes destroyed, many roads still closed. And apparently one actress didn't watch the news because she didn't know what was affecting her commute. Bella Thorne tweeted, quote, "FU 101 to Santa Barbara. I'm missing my boyfriend's first date on his tour," end quote. Well, that tweet didn't sit well with fellow actor Rob Lowe. He fired back on social media, quote, "This attitude is why people hate celebrities. Hollywood. Bella, I'm sorry you were inconvenienced. We will try to move out our dead quicker," end quote. Gee, that prompted Thorne to delete her original tweet. She then posted another one, quote, "Expletive. Just caught up on some news, had no idea why the 101 was shut down. Get home to your family safe." Well, the man who hates Hollywood on this show, Greg Gutfeld.
I get what Rob Lowe, why he was upset, but we've all been guilty of this, and it's like, you know, she's a young person, young people make mistakes. I imagine if Instagram or Twitter around when Rob Lowe was young, he might have had a few problems, if you know what I mean. Look,
I'm sure he would have Snapchatted.
yes, he would have Snapchatted instead. My point is this, you know, or she made a mistake. Human beings have a hard time thinking globally when something is happening to them. For example, there are studies on this. If you have a hangnail, you will think about that hangnail. You won't think about a boat capsizing, you know, off the coast of Libya. That you'll be thinking about that. I went through the same. I was on a train ride with my wife. We were going from the UK, London to Birmingham in the UK, and the train got stuck for 3 hours because somebody had jumped in front of it. And you know, everybody. The only thing that people are thinking about, they're not thinking about that guy or the family of the guy. They're thinking about, are we going to miss this important doctor's appointment? Are we going to be able to get there for the audition? That's how humans think. It's a flaw. It's part of natural selection to think about ourselves, and that's why I can't believe I'm actually defending a shallow,
and
superficial idea.
Darwin to do it.
Yes, I did. Thank you very much. I'll shut up now.
Do you think so I'll take the other point of view, which is Rob Lowe identified her as a very self-involved actress.
Yep.
All concerned about her boyfriend, but showing a tremendous lack of understanding about or empathy for people who were suffering as a result of these mudslides.
You're saying that Rob Lowe showed a lack of empathy, or she did? Yeah,
That's
okay,
what
well,
he said,
yes, but I guess she's saying that she had no idea what was going on. So, you know, it's obvious, I don't know, take her at her word, that perhaps it was an innocent mistake. She tried to, perhaps she could have been more artful or eloquent in making kind of an apology or saying she didn't realize it. But he's mad because he thought she did know, and she's like, uh-oh, I didn't know, and so now here we are. So then don't tweet.
Regret Island.
Right, so
More
her boyfriend,
contestants for Regret Island.
Yes.
So, and now a word from the boyfriend, whose name is
Now
Mod
involved.
Sun, a rapper, right? And he says,
What was that one?
Mod Sun, is that my wrong?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. I figured you knew the music.
No,
I didn't.
not that
I don't
one.
know this guy.
You figure Jesse's into rap.
But, yeah, he probably is. Yeah.
Not your stuff, Gutfeld.
Yeah, now
But
you're
so
like
he
death,
says
ruin,
Rob Lowe
destruction.
is guilty of bullying Bella Thorne.
Yeah, so he's dragging Rob Lowe through the mud. So here's what I think
No-
about it. As
no
long
pun
as you're
intended.
making confessions about
Yes.
having Bella Thorne moments, I'll probably shouldn't, but I'm going to make my own confession.
Which one?
Water's
We're
World,
back on Regret Island.
the weekend show was supposed to debut about a year and a half ago. And we had taped the show, and we had it all ready to go. And then ISIS attacked Paris. And they had to bump my show. And
You
I'm
were mad?
thinking, God, you know, they bumped my premiere, and then I'm realizing, wait, a lot of people died in Paris, and that was really selfish. But the difference was I didn't tweet about it.
Good.
And that's what you have to do. It's also funny that Rob Lowe's now the voice of reason in Hollywood. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but I actually agree with President Obama. President Obama was on the Letterman thing the other day, and he said this: my presidency will be like a speck in history. It's just a speck. It's a small little moment in time. And that's what people don't understand. They're so self-consumed in their own little world that they don't see the big picture in the world around them.
Well,
What do you
Regret
think?
Island.
One
quite
way
populous.
to deal with this is to set yourself up, to sign up for a local news alert. on your phone, and then then you'll know what's
Solution.
going on.
And it's got the solution.
I also think at least she didn't actually target like the highway workers or a specific company, because this is one of the worst trends on Twitter when
Yes.
popular or influential people that have a lot of followers use Twitter as a way to shame a company and to try to get special favors for something that maybe happened to them that happens to every other person.
Right.
And even if it looks like they're trying to do it to try to help the overall thing, I think it makes people look very small.
Those
I
are the
would
worst
say-
tweets on the planet.
Wait, don't you do that?
No, I've never.
No.
I
Yes,
drive
you do. When you're flying, I thought you
No,
did
I
it all the time.
attack people.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
attack
No, but-
companies.
No, I mean, you do have this instinct because you're in the moment and you're mad.
Yeah.
And you're like, you know what? Airline, I'm about to
Yeah.
light up your world. But I would say, check yourself before you tweet yourself.
Do you know,
Nice.
do you know what the cops once told me about traffic accidents? Most of them are caused by people who think this traffic's going too slowly and I need to get where I'm going. And then they just
They're not
act
courteous. Oh, David
irresponsibly.
Brooks just wrote about that.
Yeah, the Pope even has just said about this. Anyway, don't move. Fastest 7. Delightful. Up next.
Come back. Time for
Oh, boy.
the fastest 7 minutes in this quote. I was the victim. That's my role in this whole thing. That's it. I mean, really?
I feel sorry for Nancy Kerrigan, especially after the Golden Globes. What I really thought was they had what's her face there at the awards.
Tanya.
So you have celebrities lecturing us on never blaming victims, and they have probably an alleged perpetrator who attacked a woman or allowed that to happen.
You know what stunned me was apparently she wanted to charge journalists $25,000 if you asked about Nancy Kerrigan.
It's ridiculous.
Wow.
It's a lot of money.
Nancy
Even for
Kerrigan
her.
is the victim, and this woman should have had better media training before she went out and did her press tour.
Kimberly?
Oh, if you're going to good night somebody, then you better good night them.
That's
No
from the Kimberly
equivocation. Yeah.
All right.
Time's up.
Next up, David Letterman's back with a new series on Netflix. You might have noticed he doesn't use a razor anymore. First guest, Barack Obama.
One of the biggest challenges we have to our democracy is the degree to which we don't share a common baseline of facts. What the Russians exploited, but it was already here, is we are operating in completely different information universes. If you watch Fox News, you are living on a different planet than you are if you listen to NPR.
Okay, cheap shot. Do you miss him?
No, this is what I would say. Jesse, if you're going to helm Fastest 7, you cannot choose a Barack Obama quote for the thing because it takes up all the time.
You could drive a truck through that pause. What about you?
Who's homeless Santa?
Oh, you mean Letterman?
This whole I am retired and I'm growing a big white beard thing. It started the whole Michael Stipe from REM. Same thing. It's this thing. It's I no longer have to look good, but it's actually very conspicuous. It's basically saying I'm so successful I can look like homeless Santa.
Can you relate to that?
I do that, but I can't grow a beard.
Greg can relate to that. Yes. I find it terrifying. I don't know what Letterman's doing and what's going on in there, and I don't know. But, it was an interesting interview enough, I guess.
It was?
I mean, I don't
Letterman
know.
looked bored out of his mind.
Worthy of Fastest 7.
Beard's great.
Slowest 10, maybe.
All right. Stop attacking the producers, Kimberly. Juan?
Well, I mean, I didn't get that there was much meat to it, except I read that he said he explained his dance moves to Letterman and his mom dance moves. So I guess that's like his mom jeans.
Well,
but now
those
mom.
very high-waisted mom jeans that were sort of
there we
acid
go.
washy or
By the way,
something.
the one takeaway, I'm sorry, was when the audience applauded before he finished his sentence because they heard Fox News. He was saying Fox News and NPR, but they applauded before they got to NPR because they were trained to think that way.
That's right, like lemmings. Finally, this video has been viewed more than 50 million times. We showed it to you earlier this week. A man trying to get in the car to go to work gets taken down by the driveway beneath him. It was covered by a sheet of ice. He's okay and laughing about it along with the rest of us today.
Your wife, when you came inside after falling, the first thing she said was, let's look at that video, right, on the security cam. So
Correct. Not how am I, just check the video. It's just funny. I laugh every time. I'm laughing now watching. I got a round of applause yesterday when I went to work. It's just, it's surreal. I don't even know how to describe this. The people reaching out to my wife and myself saying it made their day,
All right.
That's been the best part of it.
50 million views, Greg, and he doesn't get paid for any of that.
All right, I studied the wrong video when I saw the fact. I thought it was the car during the storm going down in the mud.
We had this on the show already. You know that, right?
I know, but that's why I didn't think we were doing this. I thought it was a car
Well,
in,
it's the first
in the
time you
mudslide.
haven't prepared.
Yes.
Okay. What about you?
You just outed yourself.
I'm so glad that he fell before he ran into the road where he could have been hit by a car.
Oh, Danny,
You know
you're
what?
so sweet.
You know
I was
what
really worried
strikes
about
me
a
is
head
this
injury.
security video. Every embarrassing moment in your life now is chronicled for all time. I mean,
Also,
God.
when you're on the 5.
But your wife, his wife, my gosh, boy, she literally loves him, huh?
Kimberly, you've never fallen like that?
No.
No, never slipped up once.
No videos of me like that.
No videos.
There's some good videos, but none
None
of
of those.